Willie D. Live.
I don't know why I thought this, but I thought that the judge could reject the prosecution's recommendation.
Sometimes they can. And you can come to the judge what we call without an agree recommendation. And that would be a case where, let's say, the judge doesn't believe that the prosecutor's recommendation is appropriate, and they will offer less time, or they will place somebody on community supervision. So you can at times. But one of the things you have to consider is if the state is going to, especially if somebody is enhanced, is this somebody I'm going to place on probation and their minimum is 25 years? Am I setting them up for failure?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And oftentimes you are.
You are, right?
Yeah.
And they're right in front of you crying, begging, and pleading. I can do this. I'm telling you I can do this. I can do this. But you have to take into account a lot of factors, like, is this person going to be back here in 3 months with a new charge? Or is this person going to be back here because they've tested positive again?
What about the plea deals? What constitutes a good plea deal?
So a plea deal just means that both sides have adequately gone through all of the evidence. And when I say both sides, there could be someone, let's say you're a defense attorney, and you have a client who good and well, they may have admitted it to you, right? That they committed the crime. But you also know that because you've thoroughly gone through the evidence, that the state can't prove the case based off of what's there. Now, the state will evaluate the evidence, and they'll say, if you have somebody who is thorough, they'll say, hey, we cannot prove this case, so we'll dismiss it. But they also may say, okay, it's probably a weak case, but we're still going to offer you 2 years in prison.
Especially if you got priors.
Right. Yep. And that's one of the factors they'll take into consideration.
Yeah.
And how recent were those priors?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have a prosecutor who says we're going to offer you or make a recommendation of this punishment, and you have a defense attorney who says you can make that recommendation all you want, y'all can't prove this case, that defense attorney will say, we're going to go to trial. We're going to exercise our right to a jury trial. And that means you will plead not guilty. But if you have a defense attorney who says, and they've gone through the evidence, hey, the state has a lot of evidence against you, it is in your best interest to take this deal. Because at a trial, this might be much worse for you. Mm-hmm. And you see both of them happen. You see people who say, I'm not taking anything. And all of the evidence may be laid out right in front of them. And I've seen lawyers petition their clients, will you consider? And they'll say, my recommendation is that you not move forward with the trial and that you accept the state's offer. But if you have a person who is charged, who sees the state's evidence, who says, yeah, this probably is not going to be good for me at a trial, they'll accept the state's offer, and then a plea bargain is made, but meaning both sides are giving up something.